Welcome back to the channel, you guys. I hope you're having a great day today, and welcome to another video in our long-running series on affordable guitars. Looking for Strats, Tellies, 335s, Les Pauls. We've looked at a bunch. I've got a whole playlist. You can check them out there. But today we've got another entry for affordable guitars. Let's jump in and check it out. Yes, welcome back, you guys. As I mentioned, we've got a Donner guitar in the studio. Now, the guys from Donner sent this over to the channel, and to be honest, I had never heard of them before. But you know how we roll here. Doesn't matter if it's a high-dollar instrument, low, famous or not, they all get the same treatment, which means lots of tones, lots of close-ups, and when there's a brand I've never used before, I like to do a full teardown. That way we can see all the internals, get the fullest and most accurate picture of what a guitar's like. That being said, let's unbox this sucker, see what we got. Watch my fingers. Let's open it up. All right, you guys, let's not mess about. Let's open this up. Now, I haven't taken even the smallest of peeks at this guitar, so let's do it together. Always exciting. I don't care if it's cheap or expensive. It's always exciting to open up a new guitar. So here we go. Now, I gotta say, the gig bag itself feels like what you would get on a Squire. You know, better than the lowest end of guitars. And a decent amount of padding, and it feels pretty good. Okay, here we go. So yeah, gig bag, surprisingly nice. That's really good. Let's get the elastic off the top. There she is. Very cool. Okay, so take the foamy off the 5-way switch here. Take the little string protector off there, and the best part of any sort of new instrument, peeling off the film. All right, so here's a first look at the Donner, and I gotta say, this kind of yellow cream color body with the dark fingerboard looks pretty great, but let's jump in and take a closer look. Now, first things first, let's check out how straight the neck is, if we're gonna need to make any adjustments there. So we're looking right kind of dead center in the neck. You can see 12th fret off to the right, and the straight edge is in like complete contact with the fingerboard pretty much all the way along. So impressed. I mean, this neck is dead straight, and as we tune it up, we should gain a little bit of relief in the middle, which we're gonna want anyway, because it is quite out of tune the way it's shipped there. So, yep, that's gonna need a tune up. But anyway, yeah, the neck is dead straight, so that's awesome. Let's tune it up and see what else we got. All right, you guys, I've got the Donner tuned up. The only adjustment I made was lowering the 6-string saddle. The 6-string was a little high off the fingerboard. Everything else was pretty much ready to play straight out of the box, so that's good. Let's take a quick 1-minute tour through this guitar so we know what we're dealing with. Then, of course, we'll give you guys a bunch of tones, tear this sucker down, talk about the overall construction, all that good stuff. Here we go. Let's check out the specs. All right, let's kick things off on the headstock. Now, when we look at the shape of the Donner headstock, the Donner logo, the coloring of the logo, I gotta say, in my opinion, one of the nicer ones of these like ultra affordable guitars. Nothing out of place, just looks like a nice headstock. Now, when we talk about the tuning machines, they are labeled Donner on the back, but they feel like exactly, you know, what you would find on like a Squire Affinity or something like that. You know, they get the job done, but they're not the most tight or precise tuning machines on the planet. So that's kind of what they feel like to me, something like you'd find on like a lower end Squire. Now, in terms of the neck, it's a maple neck, and I'll take a shot of the profile for you guys. I mean, it's hard to tell on video, but it feels very Fenderish on the back. Nice and satin, I gotta say, so there's no high gloss there, so it's very smooth. And the profile, yeah, if you've played on a Fender or Squire, you're gonna feel right at home here. It feels very similar. Now, in terms of the fingerboard, nothing was listed on the specs, but it's definitely not rosewood. I'll take a shot for you guys. It doesn't have like the open, porous nature of rosewood. So perhaps it's some species of like ebony or something. It has a really tight grain, but it looks great with this finish. I'm not sure what it is. If anyone knows, just drop it in the comments section below. Now, as for the body, it's listed as African basswood. I threw it up on the scale and it came in at 7.4 pounds, so pretty typical for a Strat, so that's good. We've got a humbucker single and a 5-way switch, volume, 2 tones, a vintage style trim with the 6 screws and the screw-in arm. So that's kind of a quick spec overview of the Donner. Let's plug this thing in and see what the tones are like. All right, you guys, let's start in the neck, work our way to the bridge, just see how Strat-like this guitar is. Totally clean, here we go. Now I gotta say the string to string volume, very balanced on this guitar. I'll play that again. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what kind of quack we can get in position 4. Yeah, so big difference between the neck and position 4. Let's try position 3 here. Position 2. And position 1. Wow, that bridge pickup is like super powerful. I might take a screwdriver and just lower it to kind of balance those because, yeah, going from like position 2 there to position 1. Hopefully I'm not peaking, but yeah, it's yeah, very powerful. It'll probably sound really good with some gain. So that's just some basic clean tones. Let's add a little overdrive. So that was the bridge pickup with kind of some medium overdrive. Let's try it with the neck there. So yeah, the neck definitely doesn't drive it near as hot as the bridge. Let's go back to that bridge. And then, yeah, if we go play some lead stuff up in the neck here. So overall, you know, some pretty typical Strat sounds out of this baby. Let's add a little bit more gain. All right, let's try a few of those heavy chords or heavy riffs in the neck. So it doesn't have like that super bright kind of like biting clarity in the bridge. It's a little fuller than I think most Strats that I'm used to, but you can definitely get some, you know, yeah, pretty great riffing. All right, now that we've heard some tones, let's talk about the overall construction. Really important when you're buying a new guitar. Now, anybody can make a guitar look fantastic from far away. It's only when you zoom in that you get a truer detail of what a guitar is actually built like. So let's do that. Now, starting on the nut, I'm assuming it's just cheap plastic. There's no specs listed on the website, but I gotta say, it's actually cut quite nice. As you guys can see, there's no adhesive all over it. It's not stained. The slot in the fingerboard and the nut match up nicely, like it's tight in the fingerboard, and the shoulders match up to the fingerboard edges as well. So I gotta say, even though it's probably just cheap plastic, it's actually cut pretty well, especially for a guitar in this price range. Now, when we move on to the frets, very important as well. They are nice and smooth up and down. I can put lots of pressure on there and it doesn't hurt my fingers at all, so that's good. And when we take like a hyper close up view, you can see there are some fret filing marks on the ends, but not nearly as bad as some other guitars in this affordable, price range. So I was actually pleasantly surprised at, the fret ends. And when I took a shot up here on some, really affordable brands, they can get straight up ugly up there where they just assume no one's ever going to play because they're beginner guitars. But they're still dressed up here too. So overall, I would say above average for, other guitars in this price range. And when we talk about the fret faces, some grittiness in there, but again, not nearly as bad as some other brands. So I gotta say, above average on the fretwork and no buzzing, no high or low frets. It just played quite nice. Other than that, there's no obvious flaws on this guitar. As you guys can see, really nice tight neck joint from every angle there. So, just a nice affordable guitar. We're gonna have to do the full teardown to get the full picture. So let's move on, tear this sucker down. All right, you guys, let's start the teardown. So I've pulled the screws out of the neck and let's pull off the neck and start there. So yes, here is kind of like that Donner neck plate. Nice little touch. And I've noticed with some of these guitars, the screws that they use to attach the neck are like insanely beefy, like way more than what Fender uses. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not complaining, but something I've noticed. All right, so here we go. Let's pull off the neck. Take a look inside. So hopefully the camera will grab that there. We're kind of working with a shallow depth of field. There you go. Pretty clean pocket, I've got to say. Let's take a look at some of the edges here. Yeah, really nice cut, right here. No wobbles in the cut. Everything is nice and straight and looks very clean. So that's great. And let's look at the neck heel joint itself. I still have the strings on here. I just loosened them off. Whenever you get a guitar like this, I should just pull them off because the strings that come with them are pretty crappy. And that goes for, pretty much every guitar. But there you go. So let's just look at some of these edges as well. Very clean, I've got to say. Super duper clean. So that's nice. So yeah, definitely nothing weird with this. Just straight lines everywhere. Clean, around the edges and the fingerboard and everything. So yeah, so far, really nice with that. Let's, maybe pull off the back cavity, look at the trim. Obviously, we're gonna pull off the pickguard, look at the electronics. We'll be right back. All right, now I have not looked under the pickguard yet, but here's my prediction. Ceramic-based pickups, small dime-sized pots, that seems to be the go-to for guitars like this. Let's see how close I am to being right. Let's see if I can flip this around without snagging. Yes, certainly. So here we go. No surprises. Ceramic magnets on the back, and humbucker looks pretty clean. No wax or anything dripping out. I've seen that on guitars before, so nice and clean there. And yeah, just glued on magnets on the back. Small dime-sized pots here. So yeah, no surprises at all, and same kind of wiring. It's zip tied in a few spots, so nice and tidy. These two go out to the jack, and the other one grounds to the back of the trem claw, which goes into the bridge, which goes into the strings, and then when you put your hand on the strings, it kind of deadens it. Now the other thing you might notice here is it's routed for a humbucker. So if you ever wanted to swap pickups, you could put a humbucker single or just two humbuckers, whatever. So that's nice. And also there is no shielding in the cavity at all. So if you wanted to make your guitar a little quieter, you could grab some shielding paint. I've done that on lots of my builds. You guys have probably seen me, excuse me, do that many times. So you could just put some shielding in there, add another ground to the back of your volume pot, and then just ground into the body. So, you know, that's something that could be done. But yeah, definitely no shielding in here at all. Although I did not notice excessive noise or anything when I was playing it. But, you know, I did use the humbucker most of the time. So there you go. No surprises under there. Nice and clean, I got to say, though. Like, in terms of the painting and stuff, looks good. Let's flip it over and check out the trim. That's the other area that we want to check out. So, see if I can get that in the shot for you guys. And again, no surprises. Very, very thin, you know, claw right here. But looks good. And then the block, super duper, you know, thin. Doesn't look particularly amazing, but it's not like, you know, the worst I've ever seen. So just a very, very skinny block on there. Again, pretty typical for Strat style guitars in this price range. But again, I gotta say the cavities, very nice and clean. Everything's painted, you know, and let's be honest, nobody is expecting almost anybody to look under here ever. You know, beginners usually don't tear their guitars apart, but that's just what I like to do when I have a new brand, because again, it's indicative of how it's built. So no surprises in terms of like the parts that they use, but I gotta say, like, the routing edges, it's all, you know, straight and clean and nicely painted everywhere on the inside. So including the neck pocket and all of that. So yeah, overall, really nice and clean design. I would add some shielding to this guitar if I was going to play on it like long term, especially with like lots of gain. But just for plugging in, you know, playing clean, playing some light overdrive, some blues, some even heavy rock, like I played some of that stuff, totally usable and doable. So yeah, overall, very impressed. I've definitely seen worse in this price range. So everything is super nice and clean, and I'm really happy about that. So the big question is, well, should you spend your hard-earned money on something like this Donner? Well, there was nothing when I looked it over, when I plugged it in, or when I tore it down that would stop me from enjoying and playing this guitar. It is really well built. So if you're looking for a first guitar, if you need a backup guitar in case you break a string and you need to grab something quick, or if you've spent your money on a nice like Epiphone Les Paul and you need a Strat in your collection but you don't have a lot of cash, I think this guy would absolutely fit the bill. As I mentioned, it plays nice. It's got a nice satin neck, you know, and while these ceramic pickups won't give you quite the same, you know, Fendery, chimey, bell-like tone, they are good pickups. They were quiet. They weren't microphonic. So yeah, I mean, it's just a good, solid guitar. So if you're looking for something in this price range, definitely check out the Donner. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this demo, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We got lots of great content lined up in the future. I will link to the Donner in the video description below if you guys want more information on this guitar. You can check it out there. Other than that, have yourself a great day.